everyone, and welcome to the 30 Days Summit, where Russell Brunson has brought together a collection of his top 2 comma club and 8-figure award winners to share with you how they would literally survive and begin to rebuild their business in just 30 days if they lost it all. My name is Bailey Richard, and right now I'm delighted to be speaking with Jaime Cross. Unfulfilled in her corporate banking career, Jaime had a desire to create legacy, wealth, and global impact through entrepreneurship. After earnestly seeking direction, Jaime asked God for a billion-dollar idea and 2 weeks later saw a business plan in a dream. After 7 long years of trial and error, a lot of mistakes and tears, her company is now the fastest growing organic skincare company in the world. Jaime stands at the forefront of business as a force for good as she paves the way for her 4 young boys and other entrepreneurs all over the world to follow their own dreams. Jaime, welcome to the summit.
Thank you, Bailey. It's awesome to be here.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure to have you. You know, a lot of people on this summit have mentioned in their 30-day plans how incredibly important it is for them to take an inventory of their skills. But you're the first person and the first plan that I've come across that actually has a process for doing this in what you call the convergence quadrant. So I was wondering if you could share with us what this is and how it works.
Yeah, definitely. It's basically an exercise to help people discover what their skills, passions, their experience, and how it can all come together in a way, because we want to begin with the movement in mind. So by filling out the quadrant, you can begin to see, what are the areas that I could grow a company in? What are the products that I could launch? What can I do that would be profitable, that would make me come alive? So convergence is a really big thing because I think everybody is born with a dream and a vision, and so that's kind of the pursuit that we should start out with.
Mm-hmm. And I'll bet that filling out that convergence quadrant really helps you with some other things that you're doing in week 1 as well, like focusing in on your customer avatar, crafting your story, your attractive character, your hook. These are things that we definitely hear a lot of people on the summit talking about who are coaches or involved in the info product space, but perhaps it might be surprising to some to hear that somebody who is in the e-commerce space needs to think about these things as well. So I was wondering if you had any comments about that.
Yes. So, this is what I love about entrepreneurship is it doesn't really matter whether you're doing a digital product or a physical product. As long as you're selling something, which obviously in business, that's what we want to be doing and focusing on. Everybody wants to know, really what's going to convert is what is your hook? What is your story? So yeah, the story is the key, and that's really what hooks people. That's what brings people into your journey, and that's what causes people ultimately to want to buy from you. So I always like to start again with the beginning or with the end in mind. And so knowing that there's going to come a time when I'm going to start doing my perfect webinar and start doing my Facebook Lives. As I'm creating and developing my ideas, I want to make sure that I'm laying the groundwork and thinking through my hook, my story, my offer, and going from there. So I take the time to basically, as I talk about in my chapter a little bit, I kind of think of entrepreneurship like farming. So this is sort of the preparing the soil phase of just beginning with the end in mind.
Would you like to expand a little bit on that analogy of farming? Because that was something that was a pretty big part of your 30-day plan, and I was going to ask you about that anyway.
Yeah. So I grew up a farm girl. And so for me, I can always parallel farming with life. And in business, I've discovered that there's so much parallel though. A farmer sits down and he plans out his entire crop and he says, what do I want to grow? And he starts with the end in mind. So what seeds am I going to plant? Where am I going to plant and fertilize those and bring a crop to fruition? And so in business, of course, we want to prepare the soil. We want to get our ideas put together, figure out really what makes us come alive, what are the ideas that are going to resonate with our audience or with the marketplace so that we can become extremely profitable in a way that makes us, brings the calling and everything together. So planting seeds, and then of course the harvest comes, but this is sort of the preparation of the soil phase that I like to think about.
I love that. It's such a great analogy and so true to who you are as a person.
Thank you.
So you mentioned the perfect webinar. Now that's something that you mentioned in week 2 that you're going to begin writing and recording. And again, just like we were discussing with the story and the attractive character, webinars are usually something that we think about being used to sell courses or coaching programs, and people might be surprised that you're using webinars to sell e-commerce products. However, you do mention that in order to make a webinar work for e-commerce, there are some changes that you've had to make in order to really get it to work. So I'm curious to learn a little bit more about what those things are.
Definitely. So I started out, and of course, when I was reading Russell's book that was describing the perfect webinar, I never had that boundary of like, oh, this is only for digital. I thought to myself, like, how am I going to apply this? So it wasn't like, can I do this? It's how am I going to make this work for my business? So I literally took I broke down the entire perfect webinar, and I took what Russell wrote and I replaced it with our story, with our products, with everything, and I really broke it down. So again, this doesn't have to be like digital or e-com, but there are a couple things that I discovered, because when I first started doing my Facebook Lives, I was doing perfect webinar after perfect webinar after perfect webinar over and over and over again, and wasn't getting any conversions. And I discovered that, especially with a $25 product, having a 30-minute webinar just wasn't, like, people needed something quickly. So I had to condense what I was doing into, so now it's at 5 minutes, which is amazing. And we've done, millions, which is also amazing. So, so I started to replace the stack, because I was doing that in the beginning. I was going through like, would you pay this, and doing the whole thing, just like you see everyone doing. And I replaced that with urgency and scarcity. And for our business, and I know for every company, you could come up with something that's very authentic to your company. So for us, like, we use raw material from farms. And so there is actually like global shortages on some of the ingredients that we use. And so for us, so I replaced the stack with urgency and scarcity, and kind of did a whole condensed version of the perfect webinar.
I love it. I love how you've been able to take these solid business principles that we've all been learning from Russell, and they really produce results, but still apply them and tweak them for your own business in the way that you know is going to work, and still hit a home run every time.
Exactly. No, it's true. And everything that Russell teaches is applicable for any business. And so there should never be that block there. It's like, how can I make this work? And it will work for any business.
Definitely. Okay, so let's move on in your plan to the end of week 2. You have your niche, you've identified your product, and you have your perfect webinar script. So now you're going to create your funnel. So I was wondering if you could share a little bit about what that looks like.
Yeah, so I hacked Russell's book funnel, and it was very simple because, when I first came into this whole funnel hacker world, Russell talked so much about hacking, and I wanted to hack the best. So I took Russell's funnel and replaced everything that he was doing with our own stuff. So it's a very simple thing to do. I didn't have to come up with my own ideas. It was right there for me to model.
Perfect. So that means that you're using the 2-step order form and the order bump and all that. Would you mind laying that out for us a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. And here's what's also amazing about being able to split test. So we started out doing the opt-in page and then going over into the order page as the second step. And then we tested the 2-step order form and discovered that the original way we were doing it converted better. So we were getting more opt-ins with the 2-step order form, but our purchases were going down. So so we changed that. And now, so we have the opt-in, and then we have the order page, and then we have our bump and our upsells. We have 3 upsells, actually.
I'm curious to dig a little bit deeper into that. When you say that someone has to opt in and then they're going to be presented with the order form, what are they opting in for?
It's basically here, put your information here, and then go to the next step to make your purchase.
Got it. So the same functionality as a 2-step order form, only on separate pages. So they'll put in their information on the first page and then be taken on the second page to the order form where they can purchase.
Yes, exactly.
It's so fascinating how even the smallest structural changes to our funnel can have such a huge impact on our conversions and overall revenue, and just really goes to prove how we always need to be tweaking and testing.
Huge. Absolutely, 100% agree.
Okay, great. So week 3 of your 30-day plan is when you're finally going to be revealing your funnel to the world. And as a part of this launch, a huge part, in fact, because you're going to be doing it every day, is video, especially live video via Facebook Live. And so I was wondering if you could share with us a lot more about this strategy and what's happening every day on these videos.
Yeah, this is when you get to make your product and your vision come alive and connect with your audience. And so I have a couple things that I focus primarily on. One is education, and people think, oh, education is boring, but humans love to discover new things. And so I know for a fact that you can make any subject interesting, especially if it's interesting to you. You just want to make it come alive. Like in skincare, it's like, did you know that you can, there's an evening and a morning ritual, and the way that you take care of your skin, you do it 2 different ways. And so for people who are like, oh, well, you want them to think, I want to learn more about that. So this is a great way to bring people into your world, start that movement. And then with education, you can also sell, because as I'm talking about how amazing this is, I'm bringing my products into the storyline. So with Facebook Lives, it's a great way to connect and then also see what's working so that you can begin to turn those into ads. And of course, you want to build your audience and do all that as well. And for me, I also want to look at a lot of gives versus asking. So I'm doing a lot of giving, a lot of information, making smoothies and talking about beauty from the inside out and all the things that are important to me in creating this movement.
Yes, in fact, in your 30-day plan, you actually mentioned that you give value 4 times more than you pitch. And also, this is the perfect opportunity for you to be bringing back some of those foundational elements we talked about in week 1 with your story, your hook, and your attractive character.
Exactly.
Definitely. Okay, so in your 30-day plan, by week 4, your business is rolling along and you begin to grow your Facebook following. You have more views on those videos, orders are coming in, and they're being shipped out. So what are you doing at this point during your final week of the month? What activities are happening?
Yeah, so I'm starting to think, 6 months out, more along the lines of creating a product system so that my offer can increase in value. I don't want to get too distracted with, developing more products, but I'm starting to think about that. And then, of course, diversifying onto social media platforms like Pinterest and repurposing content into YouTube. Another really key thing as well is, how am I going to grow my team? When I first started, it was like I was shipping boxes, formulating product, making product, pouring product, labeling product, doing all of it. And so as we grew as quickly as we did, I had to think about, shipping and outsourcing that, and building our in-house team for production and all the things that are entailed with creating our factory. And so team is a big thing.
One of the other things that you mentioned is Dream 100. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that and how you plan on utilizing that moving forward.
Yeah, so of course, making your list, and I like to start from low-hanging fruit. Who has 100,000 followers on YouTube and on Instagram, and how am I going to reach out to those people? And then moving up into like the celebrity list, and creating an amazing presentation and customer experience is a really big part of that. And so that's something that we do as a business really well, is how are we going to bring people through a journey that makes them in love with us as a brand and in love with our product. So when I'm thinking about Dream 100, it's like, who's going to resonate with who we are as a brand and with our products, and what kind of a need can we fulfill in their life, and how are we going to present this to them and then execute.
Being in the e-commerce space, how do you think that working with your Dream 100 differs versus other industries? Do you send them free samples of your product, for example? How do those relationships really develop?
Definitely. And this is where relationship is so key, and something I'm very passionate about is just giving and serving, and people will recognize that. I have some really high-level Dream 100 people that I served for about 8 months, sent them full-size products for them and their entire team, which was pretty hefty on the cost, but it was well worth it, and came back, it's come back tenfold now. But really I think the nurturing has to happen in here. Like, I'm looking to give more than I am looking to get something from them. And so it's like, how are we going to benefit them? But we have this really, really great presentation with a card that makes you feel like you just want to go into the woods and like soak in this clawfoot bathtub and have a spa experience. And so immediately when they open the box, they smell the essential oils and it's like, wow, what is this stuff? And then when they read our story, so that's another really great thing about having your story and all that groundwork done, because people they want to know, and we should have that hook that makes them go, oh wow, I really need to learn more about these people. And but serving, I think, is the first thing in mind.
You've mentioned a couple times over the last few minutes your customers opening their boxes and having this sort of experience. And one of the things that I learned from you from reading your 30-day plan was about this concept called case candy. And I was wondering if you could share with us a little bit more about what that is.
Case candy is when you open your box and there's just like presents from heaven, and it's not just the products that you order, it's over delivering. So that's what case candy is. So we have a card that has a story, and then we have little sample soaps that has the instructions on how to use it and what the benefits are, and the unique, almost the USP or the unique herbs that I use, and the story behind me going out into the mountains and collecting these herbs, and how it makes this product something really special. And so the idea is that they want to run away into their bedroom and hide for an hour, almost like moms have to do with their Snicker bars in their closets, like I just want to take my MIG box and hide for an hour and just experience this to the fullest. So really what you're doing is you're giving people this amazing experience with cards and content and samples.
Well, sure, delighting people when they weren't expecting to be delighted is going to have a positive impact moving forward. But I also imagine that, putting those free samples in the boxes for them to try is only going to, really positively impact your bottom line moving forward as well when they realize that they want to purchase more of those products.
Yes, case candy should be strategic. So we're not just like giving a bunch of fluff away. It's turning back into sales. So we're like pointing them to the site, back to the funnel, so that they can kind of go through that loop again.
Very cool. Jaime, we are running out of time for this portion of the interview. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, and I want to make sure that you get an opportunity to share any final thoughts with our audience before we close.
Dial into your vision and just become so purpose-focused. I think that's the big thing. I see a lot of people selling products and they're miserable. So when you're starting out or at whatever stage you are, just really take some time and lay that groundwork for determining your purpose and your passion in life, and then go for it and just execute and take action, and don't worry about things being perfect. And action will create clarity.
Fantastic advice, Jaime. Thanks so much for sharing that and all of the other value that you have on today's interview. For those of you watching at home, before you go, I just would love to ask, are you ready to embark on your own 30-day journey to success? If that's the case, then I have something incredible I want to tell you about. It's called the One Funnel Away Challenge. Click the button on this page to learn more and upgrade today. In the One Funnel Away Challenge, you're going to have an opportunity to craft your own 30-day personalized and customized plan to success and getting that next award-winning funnel launched with the direct help and guidance of a ClickFunnels 2 Club coach. But that is not all. You're also going to be snagging some incredible bonuses when you upgrade, including a physical copy of the 30 Days Summit book, where we've put together all of the 30-day plans from each one of the speakers on this event. You're going to get unlimited access to the interview that you just watched with Jaime and all of the other interviews of all of the speakers on this summit. Plus, and this is my favorite part of the offer, you're going to be getting a second behind-the-scenes interview that I have recorded with every single one of the summit speakers, where they're showing me via screen share how they've actually set up their award-winning 2 Club funnels. The value in those videos is absolutely out of this world, and I don't want you to miss out on that. So make sure that you click the button on this page to learn more and upgrade to join the One Funnel Away Challenge today. Jaime, one more time, thank you so much for being a part of this summit. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Bailey. It was awesome.